Good morning, YouTube. Time to replace this sheet of BuildTak. This is on the steel FlexPlate from the FlexPlate kit. So I've got about 7 months of use out of this sheet. You can see it had started buckling up around the outside edge, and what I had done for about the last month is just concentrated my prints in the center, but now the material started peeling up here. I've got little tears in it, and that's pretty much the end because I can't print on the outside. Inductive sensor picks up the metal sheet, but it doesn't pick up these ripples in the BuildTak itself. Okay, I think we've got just about there. I peeled up all the corners, and then I heated up the middle here, and there we go. So there's the old BuildTak. Now just got to wipe this down, get it all cleaned off. It doesn't get a lot of residue, but there's a few spots there. So this time I tried a slightly different method to get the BuildTak started on the FlexPlate. So what I did was I started out with the two sheets folded out like this. I laid the BuildTak flat down, and then I butt the edge of the FlexPlate against the BuildTak. And then you can bring that up. You know, that lets you check that you've got it square, and lining up with that edge gets it pretty darn square, but I think that looks pretty good. So now I can just get this pushed down, and then I'll slowly pull the release paper off of here, and then I can just move this down all the way across. So I think that's going to work pretty well. I did something like this when I applied the Garolite to my other FlexPlate, and I laid the two sheets together and then just close them up like a book. But yeah, this is my last sheet of the white BuildTak. It turns out I do have a couple sheets of black, but I figured I would use up the last of the white here. So this is probably one of the last sheets of the Type A machines branded BuildTak since they went out of business a few months ago. Yes, I think this technique works quite well. What I do is I use my little roller here, and I just roll in this direction and just kind of go up, and you can kind of see where it hasn't stuck down. There's slightly lighter patches where I haven't fully adhered it, but if I only go in this direction, any air bubbles can get pushed out ahead of the roller, versus if you go this way and you had an air bubble back here, you would trap it. But if you just roll only in the direction that you're pulling the backing sheet off and just pull it out, maybe I've got that much left here, so let's pull the rest of it out. Pull that out of the way, and then just kind of get it down as you roll it out. Yeah, so I think that's the trick, is you just want to roll in the same direction that you're pulling the sheet out, and then that way you work all the air bubbles out. And I don't think I have any bubbles in here that I feel. Might be one right in there. Yeah, I think that one's out. So yeah, that's the trick though, is just roll in one direction, because that way you're not trapping anything underneath. Okay, YouTube, first print finished here. Looks like we had pretty good adhesion, except the part right there broke loose. Wasn't quite stuck down very well, so I may need to bump the temperature up. I was running 90 degrees C, so I think I'm going to have to go back up to maybe 95, and I'll try that. Okay, round 2, I think that stuck down a lot better. So what I determined was wrong was I had to raise the inductive sensor. I went about, maybe 60 degrees, like a sixth of a turn. Maybe what I had done in the past was I may have raised that a little bit, because as the old BuildTak was bubbling up, it's higher, and I was having problem with the material sticking too hard on the first layer because it was too close and being smashed into the into the BuildTak, so I must have raised that at some point. Or maybe the white material is just slightly thinner. I'm not sure on that. Before it gets worn out, I'll try to measure the thickness of the applied white, and then I have some black material, so I guess when I next replace it, I can measure the thickness of the applied black material. But yeah, that seemed to be the problem. I just raised the sensor just a tiny bit. Let's see, I think that's 1 millimeter thread pitch, so a sixth of a turn would be something like 0.16 millimeters, something like that. But yeah, that seemed to work pretty well. First layer, yeah, that one's on there. So these parts have a brim and supports printed. That's pretty solid right there. I'll see how this works. I might need to go just a little bit lower, like a full quarter turn, because I'm getting not quite full coverage on that very bottom layer. You can still see some of the filament pattern on there. Yeah, it'd be interesting to hear what sort of longevity people are getting out of their BuildTak. So I probably print most every day, maybe do 4 to 8 hours of printing a day. You know, this was a couple hours of printing time there, and just depending on how many parts I'm having to make, because I'm a little bit behind now, so I got to start cranking out some parts. So I'll probably be doing quite a bit of printing here in the next week or two, like every single day. But I probably average every other day printing something, and this last sheet lasted 7 months. That's pretty reasonable. You figure it's about $20 for one of these 12-inch square or 300 millimeter square sheets, and you get about 6-7 months worth of printing out of that. So I guess in the long run, that's maybe $3 a month. I guess 10 cents a day if you figured it on a daily basis. So that's not too bad, considering if you were using like a glue stick or, you know, any sort of preparation, you have to keep adding that every day or every time you print. Where with this, you know, you put it on once, you leave it for 6 months, and then you replace it. So yeah, that seems to work pretty well though. Yeah, if you have any feedback on how long your BuildTak lasts, post up in the comments section below. And if you have any questions about the BuildTak or FlexPlate, comment down below, and I'll put some of the other FlexPlate videos over here on the side you might be interested in. And as always, thanks for watching.